Well,
Take the order.
The recording, please. Thank you.
okay, being shortly after 7 o'clock, I'm gonna bring the Dunbarton Board of Selectmen meeting for September 17th, 2020 to order. All three selectmen are present, town administrator is present, police chief is present. Leo is recording, for the public. And, Linda Nickerson is gonna upload those. Town clerk's in here, Linda Landry, and Don Larson from the cemetery is present. Okay, I have some meeting minutes that have been amended, from our last meeting. We have a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve those minutes of September 3rd as amended.
All-
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Let's sign these meeting minutes. Okay, I'm gonna open it up for a quick public comment. If you're not on the agenda and you have something to say, you could, Leo. Linda, you're all set for now?
All set, thank you.
Okay, going to town business. The first thing on the agenda is Shelley Lampier of Jewett Road. She has an election complaint. Is she here?
She's outside.
She's outside, she won't wear a mask. I have extra in my car, and she wouldn't come in.
She wouldn't. Um,
I don't know what you wanna do.
You wanna go outside and have the meeting out there?
no,
You could open the window.
the window is open there. I'm not sure if she wants to speak in it or not.
Do you want to go and ask them?
Want me to ask her?
What about the chief ask her? I think Dawn could lift that up, yeah. Tell her we'd like to at least hear from her if we could.
You might not wanna sit in that seat, Don. You might not wanna sit right in that seat, Don. Okay.
Just for the record, the town moderator just showed up. What time is it, Mike?
7:03.
7:03, town moderator arrives. We've called the person on our agenda. They were seen outside but not in. We're gonna see if she wants to address us through the window, I guess. I think the chief is looking for her now.
Okay.
I didn't wanna skip over her and move on without trying to address the issue.
There's no one outside the parking lot.
I think she left.
I looked at all the vehicles, nobody's occupying any of the vehicles. I called her name a couple of times, nobody answered, so I think she might have departed.
Thank you, chief. Put a note in the record that the chief went out to look for the person that made a complaint about our election and was not present in the parking lot at 7:03. Okay, Rainey, you're on the agenda for an election update, and I think we have a couple other items to talk about.
Okay.
So why don't you go ahead and start with the election update?
Well, I just thought it would be good for us to have a chance to review how it went. It being a different kind of experience than other elections we've done. My observation is that there were never long lines waiting to get in to vote. We processed all of the absentee ballots, the pre-processed ones and the ones that weren't pre-processed, successfully during the day. That went fairly smoothly. The Attorney General's office, a representative came and did their inspection, and I was with him throughout, and I didn't see any no's that he checked in his 4-page checklist. So I think by all accounts, oh, and the big one, the most important one, everyone who showed up and wanted to vote, voted.
No, one exception. There was one lady that, when I said you needed a mask, she walked away in disgust and never returned.
Yeah.
And I felt bad about that because I was trying to explain the other
I
mechanisms.
thought she did come around
No,
and vote
she-
afterwards.
No, she was another one.
And now that you mention that, there were also two people who arrived at 7:05, 5 minutes after we closed the polls, and they did not get to vote either.
Oh, I didn't realize that either.
So I wonder,
We're not
I wonder if it
extending the
would-
hours.
I wonder if it would make sense for us to have a sign outside that said, mask required to enter. If you have any concerns about wearing a mask, please see the greeter. Cause, you know, there are times when you were busy and you can't talk to, as greeter, you were
Right,
busy,
I-
you
maybe-
can't talk to three people at the same time.
80% of the people I hate, but 20%, you know, a few people could have
Yeah.
escaped, yeah.
So maybe if we put a sign outside, that might help.
You know, Rainey, we did, have enough coverage in the back, it looked like, so maybe a second selectman could be out there too as well, and
Well,
that'll help.
looking at the next one, I think we had each station covered with, and then we also had, Hope, who was there extra, Joe, who was there extra. One of the two of you, because Mike was outside the whole time, and one of you was handling the ballot box for me.
Yep.
And we
Hope's
had, Madison, is it RC?
Mercy.
RC, who was there for a chunk of the day.
And she's gonna return, she said she'd return for the.
Yeah, I was in touch with her, and not only is she gonna return, she's gonna come for the whole day. So I guess she had a pretty good time. We also had Pam Miliotto, who stayed extra to help coach the new ballot clerks. That was helpful. But I'm just thinking, we had a few people extra beyond what we needed. And that was, even with that, I thought we were stretched about as tight as we could be. I don't remember, I mean, maybe one of the two of you had some
We switched
downtime.
off back and forth, Bob and
But there wasn't much downtime for anybody other than that.
I, no.
In November, we're probably gonna have double the turnout that we had this time. So I'm anticipating double the absentee ballots. That means double the pre-processed ones to process and double the not pre-processed ones to deal with during the day, and twice as many people coming. The last time we had a federal election, the way we dealt with that is that we opened up 2 ballot clerk tables and we had 2 exit lines. That, I thought, worked fairly well 4 years ago. And I'm anticipating we're gonna need to do that again today, in November. But that means we're gonna need a bunch of extra people beyond what we had a couple of weeks ago. So I'm concerned about that. I'm already trying to get the ballot clerks scheduled, and I've got an idea in my mind, and it looked like it was gonna be good, but then Bill Wardell, who is one of the newer ballot clerks, who actually did quite a good job. I think all the new folks did a pretty good job. But it looks like he may be overseas.
Mhm.
So there's a chance he won't be able to be there, and so now I'm even scrambling to cover the ballot clerk tables. We're gonna need some extra folks. I think having 2 greeters would be great. I think having you guys do the receiving the ballots this last time, that was very helpful to me, because I had a chance then to respond to unusual circumstances that came up, or to help with the ballot clerks, or just to kind of, dealing with the absentee ballots took a long time too. So I'm anticipating we're gonna need extra folks, and if you've got anyone in mind, it would be helpful to hear about that.
Excuse me, Rainey,
Yeah, so,
a thought on a second set of ballot clerks. You're gonna have to redesign all of your distancing and your
Yeah.
pattern too.
yeah,
And just a thought, do you,
absolutely. Mike and I, in fact,
Yeah.
spent part of the day looking at how we might do that.
And one thing I like is probably, you know how we had gray tape on the floor? I'd like to change that, if we get red tape, something really bright, or yellow tape, and use more of that tape for the distancing as people walked in.
Okay,
I thought that would be, because remember mid-morning, we said we need to have more spacing here.
We have one roll of red, looks like painter's tape.
I have some in my
Red,
closet.
yeah,
Red.
there's something a little more
Something, yeah.
that stands out.
okay. The bigger challenge is gonna be finding a way to set up that serpentine approach to the ballot clerk table.
There are two
To do
tables.
two of them, so that we can sort people by alphabet early, so we don't get three people whose last name starts with a B and someone who starts with a W behind them, and they're now 16 feet from being able to get to the front of the line, so.
I was thinking it more, I was thinking we could make the segregation of the alphabet early, as they immediately walk in. That way they're
Yeah.
not seen in front of the tables, but
Yeah.
I was,
A's this way, B's that way.
Right,
Yeah,
A,
so
C,
we got
D.
two
And that's where the reader
serpentine
would come in,
lines.
directing them before they went in the building.
before they went in.
That's a good
Yeah.
idea, yep.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to learn the rest of your alphabet.
I tell you, it's gonna be rough.
There's a lot of learning curves we're gonna face. Sure.
One thing Bob and I noticed, every single person tried to come back around the curtain and either go this way or go around the back, so we really do need those stanchions to that exit door.
Yeah,
On both sides, not just one side, so they have a tunnel to go down like cattle. If we
Yeah.
need to buy more, we need to buy more, but
so did.
we had to
I
speak to
sent-
every person.
That's what he wants to talk to you about.
I have it here in the folder,
Okay,
are you ready to move to that?
yeah, it seems like a good time. We're gonna need more of the stanchions to set up the double lines too, so. My thought was 10 more.
How far do they go?
Well, it depends who you buy them from.
Are they 20-footers or?
There's no such thing. The longest you can get is 13.
So I'm just thinking diagonally there,
One company says if you put 13-foot tape on this stanchion, by the time you stretch it out, the stanchion will fall over. The base isn't
so
heavy
10
enough.
is 130 feet. If you got 10 of them?
Yeah, but of course it doesn't lay out that way.
Right, so I'm thinking you need more, did you say you wanted 13?
No, I said I wanted 10.
Yeah, I don't think you got enough.
Where are we gonna store them?
I don't know, but we gotta have enough to have it laid out, otherwise Bob and I ended up talking to every single person, if we didn't, they went the wrong way, we had to go catch them and run after them, and, you know.
Didn't hear you.
When we're gonna be busier, and we're trying to stuff those ballots in as people give them to us, cause they wanna visually see us,
Yeah,
put them in the box, most of them. We
Yeah.
can't be running after other people that are going in other directions, so.
yeah. Well, envision with me, I don't have a little map this time, but the curtain that separates the gym opened more on that far wall that has the clock on it, where we stand to receive the ballots. And instead of one table that a person comes to the clerk and then moves this way, we'll have two tables this way, A to L and to Z. And so people will be exiting from that deeper into the other side of the gym. That alone might help. You during the day put up extra sign to put.
Didn't work, they looking in the air, they walk right by the sign.
Yeah.
Sign didn't help at all, we had to tell just as many people with or without.
So if we put a sign on the plexi.
There were
something-
signs everywhere, it was just, if they don't have a cap, you know, like you're bringing them in, all
Yeah.
your stuff on that side, get to the other side. there's
Well,
nothing.
people are creatures of habit, because they were trying to exit
I know.
the regular way.
Yeah. So I wonder if we got the stanchions and tapes to set up the space. One of the problems that I saw is that the back of that table that we're using as people leave, that should have the rail behind it.
Right.
That should be enclosed, and it's not. It wasn't.
With more stanchions, we can do that.
Right, and then, so we're using a bunch of stanchions to set up lines in the front and stanchions for there. I wonder if we then use the plastic chains and those old standards to shuffle people
I'll exit.
out.
I guess we could, they're kinda hokey.
I know,
But they're colorful, and they'll,
You know, we're storing those hokey things, to me, I think we should throw them out and get the correct ones and use something that works. It wraps up, we're not trying to collect chains, they've been around for 50 years,
Mhm.
they're all dirty looking, I just think, you know, we're storing them, get rid of them and store something useful to ourselves.
Yeah, I'm not gonna fight you on this.
so amount, you wanna make?
We have the opportunity now, so this is, now there were 3 things we talked about that day and there's only one on here. 3 things you needed for future election in November.
What's that?
I'm asking you.
I
I
don't
spoke
remember,
with the moderator.
I don't remember talking about 3, I do
You're thinking
remember
of
those,
those tables, the singular tables that
Yeah.
come up.
Higher tables. We talked about that, remember?
Yep.
And what was the last item, you remember, Paul?
I
Oh.
remember the tables.
The only other thing I think is some more of them higher chairs to go with the higher tables, that's, I think, the only other thing we talked about.
Well, yeah, you could use those, but I think people would have been more comfortable standing at the higher tables. I think that's the observation that Holt made.
You know, we're all there for 18 or something hours, so you gotta have a, if you're gonna be in front of the people, you gotta have a break whether you're there or not there, you know, so. We only have one chair at the appropriate height for people to rest
That's
on
all
or
right,
anything.
where we are.
Yeah, cause we stand all day. So I think, this is a good start, but I think we should do more than 10 is what I think.
Make it, add 2 more, that'd give you another 20 feet.
No, I'm thinking
I'm
we should do
gonna,
20 of them.
even though the company that makes the 13-foot tapes is, more expensive, and everyone else warns that, you know, the base won't be heavy enough, I think we should get 13-foot tapes.
The 13-foot baits
It
were
would
the
make
same
it,
price.
it's a little, that one was $6.56 for 10,
Yeah, and
including
656,
postage.
656 for 10-foot belts, and the next one is 687 for 10-foot belts
Right.
on the third one.
The other page that you have with the picture of it,
Yeah,
that company had the 10-foot tapes for cheaper, but when I called them, their phone was no longer in service.
oh yeah, that won't be bad.
Can I ask one question about funding for this? Is this eligible for COVID at all?
It is.
Okay, then I'd go with Dave, I'd rather get the extra and replace.
I
I'd
know
get
that-
20 of them and have them, and then, you know, get rid of those old ones at your leisure and start using the new ones, cause those other ones.
20 more or 20 total?
20 total.
Total.
Can I make a recommendation? Use the COVID money that you've received already, authorize it to be paid, and then gives me the time to apply and get money back at when I can get it completed.
You were talking about 10 more, so I was thinking 20 more.
Not
Total.
20 total,
Not 20 including the ones we have, 20 more in total. new.
27. I think it's more than we need.
Where do you wanna cut it down to then?
Let's get 14 more, because I think they sell them in pairs.
Okay?
Yeah, 13 or 14. I think if we had 20, we'd be okay.
You remember you're throwing the other ones out?
Yes,
How many are you gonna be throwing out?
I don't care. All of them.
They're short again, I'm coming
Yeah,
after you.
I'm with you. I don't like the way, they served a great purpose for a long time, but I don't,
I don't like them,
they're
because
done.
they're colorful.
yeah,
That's the only reason I like them.
yeah.
The thing is, they sag down, they make people wanna step over them, is what they do.
Trip hazard.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we do a purchase using the COVID money we already received, for 14 of the new stanchions, with the 13-foot belts.
Okay.
At, well, it'll be a new total, the total was, 656 for 10 of them, I think originally, right, so.
And as Corinne asked, that we're gonna seek reimbursement for COVID money.
Let me just see if I get a second on the motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion been made, second, I see some discussion.
Just one thing, for us that have displays and that, can we run the people down the blue curtain and then out the door? That way they go past our displays?
Yep, we can make it, we can actually slide yours closer to the door too, instead of down here, so.
Yeah, if we can.
We can
do
make the
that,
stanchions
that'd
go
be
Actually,
good.
we could use the display tables to help funnel
Guide,
people
sure.
towards the exit door.
Oh, okay, that'd be perfect in that, because,
The problem with that is if people congregate in front of them.
But we're gonna make it, I think, wide like this,
Okay.
you know?
that'd be great, because that way they know it's on the way out, and they're gonna be unmanned, so, but, there's gonna be the restoration, the cemetery, Reese Across Dunbarton, the garden club, so we can have 2 on either side, and we'll stagger them, so that way they can zigzag back and forth between them,
Okay.
if that's all right.
Lean in your squared away, what money to pull it from?
The 4 more should be about an extra 260 above the
Okay,
650, if you're looking for a number to shoot at. And Lean, if you'd like, I'll
Forward
identify
it.
the company and forward it to
Yep.
you.
Okay, motion's been made, second, all in favor?
Aye.
And I'd say we make the order sooner than later. I'd rather,
Oh, absolutely.
We're gonna-
In fact, I'm gonna call them I'll call them in the morning and see how quickly they can get them to us.
Okay, and I can give a credit card and do it over the phone.
Yeah, okay.
Mike, do you have those minutes for Bob?
he's got them right.
Oh, okay, good. That was that, Bob?
I just wanna let the board know that I'm fairly new to Dunbarton. I'm a resident of Dunbarton now, and I'm from an SB2 town.
What's your name, ma'am?
My name's Lean Camo,
Okay.
and I am willing to offer my services to be that extra person help. I've had nobody approach me, but I just want it out there that I'm available, and I could probably snag my husband to do the same. If somebody,
The old volunteer the husband trick.
Well, he's not here.
Lee, what about running the town?
I am salary, I do usually have staff in the office that, on that day, it's very, very slow in
Okay.
the office, so that's not gonna be an issue. If it's a partial shift, the later shift for, give relief of somebody that's been there all day, that's what.
Yeah, I'm
As a
thinking
point of- as
it'd
a
be
point of order,
really
Lee.
helpful to have
Yeah.
someone there who would just go and wipe down the voting, services. and-
Lean, point of order, you would not get paid any extra as far as a worker.
That's right.
Normally, there's reimbursements made, but if you're a town employee working with your,
During the day,
during the day.
if it's at night, I mean, that's.
Okay, I just thought, I'd make sure you knew that.
Yeah, not biggie.
And I'll agree with you that I think the election went very well. I've never seen one so steady. It was just constantly people coming in, no big rushes, and, I've never seen it so constant. Any of the other elections, we had no real big lulls, so.
We had a 41+% turnout, and as I compare notes with moderators in the towns around, they were in around 30, most other towns. We had a huge turnout.
Yeah, I
For a
thought
state
it was
primary.
Very good.
I'd just like to make a former state representative, J.R. Hole, complimented Dunbarton for being proactive in the way we approached people who did not want to wear a mask. He said it was well thought out, courteous, and executed flawlessly. So he was very complimentary about the way we set up we talked about different ways where people could vote without masks. So I thought I'd pass it on to the moderator.
No, thank you.
I was
Yeah, I
gonna
don't see a reason to change what we did. I think it worked well enough.
I was gonna say that, anyone that wanted to vote had the opportunity to vote, cause they could vote absentee, they could have voted wearing a mask, or they had the option of moving to the side, not wearing a mask, and voting in that. So, if they turned around and went home, it's cause they chose not to vote, it's not cause they weren't given the opportunity, so I think all in all, I would stand behind the moderator there, because we had, a successful election.
And one other concern, at least, was you talk to the school officials, we had one citizen put a complaint in to me, not officially, but he was very concerned about the cameras being
Oh, that's
installed in the
right.
gymnasium. And he says there's no, he said at the state level, they have notifications that you could be under surveillance. There was nothing on there, I did not know if they were on or off, but that could be a concern again. And I think is we should at least ask the question of the school officials.
Why, are there cameras in
There
there?
were security cameras in there, and you don't know unless you look around.
Security cameras on the back doors?
On the doors you enter.
Yeah, those are active.
Okay, then, he felt, I'm not sure what the regulation is regarding
Yeah, but they're on
signage.
the outside, they're not.
No, they're
inside.
They're inside.
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 The difference with what's going on at the state and what's going on in the school is the school does it for surveillance of all people, and the state has a problem because it can't have a surveillance camera on employees that are working for the state. It's like, it's happened with any institution. Dunkin' Donuts used to have them in their place and had to take them down because they were on the employees and what they were doing. So you can have surveillance of anyone, but you can't have a oversight of the employees. I think if you check with, maybe
Never
the
realized
Hampshire
that.
Municipal, they might be able to give you some direction there.
But it was focused right on the tables where people were voting. I'm concerned
Wow.
that, was it really secret?
Well, it sounds like
Oh, okay.
this voter was concerned. Yeah,
So
I'll
so I just put that out,
I'll ask
it's
about it
worth
at the
addressing.
school, yeah.
And so we'll have an answer if the.
The other
if
thing
the
too is we
service
could turn those tables appropriately so you couldn't see them even if they were used.
Okay.
So, I wanna just go back to the alternate voting space just for another moment. I don't want to lose sight of the fact that, to help a voter, to have a voter to vote there, took an incredible amount of time and, outside the box effort. So I don't want to encourage people to use that space. It would be impossible if we had a lot of people out there. As an unusual circumstance space, to me, it makes a lot of sense, and it worked well. But I just don't wanna, push people in that direction.
One person said there was a medical reason he could not wear a mask.
Yeah.
Another person said he didn't like wearing masks. Another person said it was he was more politically motivated not to wear a mask. And the two husband and wife, I don't know what they were complaining about. It was a constitutional right, they claimed.
Okay, moving on, I'd just like to throw the Board of Selectmen's thanks to all the volunteers you had working that night. There were a couple of them in the room here, and I wanna thank all those volunteers that helped. It really made it go much faster, and without them, we'd be really in trouble, so.
And
Board of Selectmen would like to thank
to
that.
Linda, though, I thought the box lunches worked out well today, please.
Thank you. Yes. Linda Landry, Town Clerk, I was gonna ask how you like that, the box lunches.
I think we should always be with
I
that.
think they were great. We didn't have all that mess to clean up afterwards, so I think we're gonna go that route from now on. I'll get menus out early. And I just wanted to let everybody know, as of today, we're up to 348 requests for absentee ballots for November. I'm hoping when the ballots come in to put one blast out to people who may want the opportunity to come pick them up in person rather than mail them. I won't be able to hold on to them for too long because the onus is on me to get them out as quickly as possible. But several people have expressed the fact that they would much rather pick it up, and I've got notations on their requests.
How many did we have last time?
Absentees,
Was it
205?
230, 200,
205?
No, it was more than that.
it
It was
was
about
like
230.
238, I
230?
think. Yeah,
About 240.
I think it was about
Oh,
238.
absentee ballots altogether?
Yes.
260.
Was it 260
Yeah.
altogether?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and I know Lean called us, and I think 6 came in that day, or maybe 8.
Yeah.
So that was good, we picked up those.
You just reminded me of something. I got a call from the postmaster in Goffstown, just about a couple hours ago. She said that the Goffstown town clerk, is going to have a policeman at the post office to pick up any late arrivals on absentee ballots on election day. So anything that got there at 5 o'clock, he could pick up with authorization from the town clerk and bring to the polling area. She asked if that was something we were interested in doing. I don't know that we have the manpower for that, and I didn't want to volunteer it.
I sure like
But I
the
wanted
idea.
to throw it out there as something to think about, and if that's something you want to entertain, let me know and I'll make the arrangements.
Linda, I've got one question.
Uh-huh.
How many disenfranchised absentees were there? In other words, came in after the election?
Came in after?
Yes.
Not one came in the mail after election
It
day.
may not be an issue for us.
And that's why I did explain, I thanked her, because that was a great idea, but people get them early enough, and they mail them back early enough, and the Secretary of State is doing a great job on encouraging people. When you get them, mail them back, mail them back. The post office has sent out postcards to everybody. When you get it, jump on it, mail it back, or deliver it in person.
That all being said, there was an absentee ballot that went into the Concord post office day of election, and they sent one of their staff here to deliver it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so there may be some merit in, if we can spare somebody, what would it take? An hour total?
Well, think about it and let me know, and if you all
I
want
could
to
do it on
decide.
my coffee run.
Any excuse for a
That won't be a
coffee run.
loss to us, because there's gonna be a coffee run anyway.
That's
I
right.
know.
So
Okay.
the last thing I think we need to think about is pre-processing absentee ballots.
Yes.
I haven't heard the dates that they're gonna allow us to do that, but I anticipate that it will be the Thursday preceding the election until Monday preceding the election. We can pick any of those days. we might wanna think about trying to have 2 teams of 3 to process them, cause I anticipate there'll be more, and it took us
2.5 hours.
3 hours.
3.5 hours?
At least 2.5, yeah.
Rob and I would
I'd like
like
to
to
do it the day
volunteer Mike
before.
again.
Is that how volunteering works?
It does.
Oh.
The day before would be good, because we'd get that many more done.
Yeah,
That's how you got Lean's husband.
so, I suggest that Linda and I, talk this over, try to come up with a time, and then we'll have to let you know, we'll need at least one of you there. But we'll need 6 people total.
Right.
Um,
How do we split up the checklist? How do we mark the checklist in yellow, though? That's
Why don't you guys
we'll
work that out?
yeah.
By the way, it
I'll-
was, the process of pre-processing was ethical, and it was a quadruple check as far as numbers. I saw nothing but accuracy through the whole process. So it's kudos to the, when we thought we were done, he says, let's check it again.
And there was a recount, as you know. They picked up our ballots this week. The recount was for Merrimack County Sheriff, and the results are unchanged. So,
Oh, they did it this week?
they did it yesterday.
Okay.
The winner?
Dave Croft.
So,
Okay,
I would be more comfortable also when we're pre-processing the absentee ballots if we had, observers.
We, yeah, we put it on the website. No
Yeah,
one came.
and no one came, but we could invite people.
Yes, we could.
I think it'd be
No,
helpful.
reach out to someone proactively.
nobody invited Leo.
I think it'd be a good idea to have it on video.
Yeah,
Oh, that's a good
I mean, not
idea.
just, it's gonna be,
That's a great idea.
it's gonna be a
yeah.
tough election for a lot of reasons. To
I
have
think-
it on video, just, people can look at it and
I'm pretty
shoot
cheap.
the things up.
That's a great
I've heard that
idea.
about you.
I like that.
Okay,
My wife's
time to move on to anything else, Randy?
No, so we don't have a lot that we need to do. I'll work with Lean on the stanchions, I'll work with Linda on setting up pre-processing.
And maybe you could give a thought to some of them higher tables.
You can get them if you'd like. I think the stanchions are much more important.
4 cinder blocks to look
The
the table up.
stanchions are done.
Stanchions are done.
Okay, so move on from that.
You know, there is a higher table, it's called a voting booth.
Yeah, that is true.
Don't forget, you have
People
to
really
store,
like to go to them open tables for some reason. A lot of people use
It worked really
Well,
well.
per-
you have to store all this stuff
It
you
looked
keep
like all
talking
the-
about, you know?
All the booths were closed off. It didn't look, it wasn't clear that you could go. I knew I could move the curtains, but because you saw the stripes, it almost appeared that the whole section
Yeah,
was.
so maybe next time, well, I don't know how we do that. We'll have to think about that. Cause we
Okay,
don't wanna.
Don?
When I'm working in the garage, I'm tall, so what I do is I take my tables and I put a gallon paint jet can underneath them, raises it up to a very comfortable height. We could make, a stand to put underneath there with, maybe a 4x6 or something like that on each leg and have them connected so they'd be, stable. But that would be one way to raise those tables that we have.
I've never had that problem for some reason.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll give that some thought, and I guess, anything else?
We will anticipate setting up on November 2nd, the Monday before.
Okay, November 2nd.
If we're doing that, it's gonna have to be at 4 after school. Which means if we're gonna pre-process that day, we're gonna have to start early. Okay, and I'll come back before then so we can
Finalized.
finalize our plans.
Okay. I think that sounds good, and, we'll need a few more people as you stated, and, maybe a couple extra people will be trained this time too.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for coming in, Randy.
Thank you.
Okay, Chief, do you know Chris is coming in for an update of the 10-year plan?
You get tied up in a call, I can text him and ask him to come in. I know that he's been working on that.
If you want, just, if he's free, if he wants to come in later in the meeting, we'll just adjust our schedule, okay?
Okay.
But no big deal, if he wants to go to the next meeting, that's fine as well.
Okay.
He's got a deadline, right?
Yeah, I think that's what the problem was, that he sent us all that
Yeah,
information,
he's got a deadline.
and there's a deadline, so.
Does this need to be re-signed?
There wasn't any information there, that's pretty much the
Okay.
refresher from the prior application.
Chief, is this something I need to sign as chair? If he reaches out to me too, I can meet him
Okay.
and get that done, whatever works best for him. Okay, the next thing on the agenda, we've got a couple of unanticipated revenues for fundraising for cemetery benches, the first one, in the amount of $1,000. Do we have that check?
Yep.
Okay, Mike, do you
I'd
wanna
like to make a motion for RSA 31:95-B, paragraph Roman numeral 3B, to accept unanticipated revenue from fundraising for the cemetery bench engraving in the amount of $1,000.
Second.
Motion been made and second, all in favor?
Discussion?
No discussion, we're just accepting.
Okay, no, but where's this money going to?
This is the last bench, and I think he described it plenty well at the last
Okay,
meeting.
so it goes to offset.
This is the last bench, correct?
I got one more unsold, but
Okay,
but
I'm all set.
4 of the 5 are now sold, the money's in the house.
Okay,
I'm all set.
okay, Mike's all set, so, motion been made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the next thing we have is some more unanticipated revenue for wreaths across Dunbarton fundraising.
I'll make the motion for RSA 31:95-B, Roman numeral paragraph 3B, to accept unanticipated revenue from fundraising for wreaths across Dunbarton in the amount of $53.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded, any, discussion?
We're gonna have a fundraiser, needless to say, between now and December. This year, because of the COVID, I've ordered custom face masks with our new logo on it. And I showed it to Lean today. And so all the volunteers will have a face mask to wear, you know, so people will know who's staff and who isn't and stuff like that, so. And so will the Revolutionary Guard, Honor Guard, they'll also be wearing them. So we'll practice social distancing, and I'm gonna ask that everybody wear a mask that comes to the outing. And it's gonna be outside and spread out, so I don't think we'll have a problem with anything. So,
Don, there's 5 benches over here at this cremains garden?
correct,
Okay.
Yeah.
Some reason I thought there was only 4.
no, there's only 4 are sold, the last one is still available.
Okay,
The one in the center.
all right.
So, but, that's where we're at on that.
Thank you, Don, appreciate all your fundraising, efforts here. And,
Motion on the table.
that motion's been passed, I thought.
No.
Oh, this one has it.
All motion been made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. And now, Don, you're up on the schedule, Don Larson. Don, I think we did make a vote on these signs last year as well.
Huh?
I think we already voted on these signs last year as well.
Well, those are the signs, I found some more.
Oh, you did?
Yes. I was down in the basement of the library. Let me find it. Down here. There, these are the signs I found. Next one.
There's one there, from Mike.
And basically, what I'd like to do is, these are town signs, and I'd like to have permission to have another raffle and raffle these signs off, the 3 different items, and have it go to our mapping program that we have for the cemetery.
What's it gonna be, like a closed bid?
Yeah, it'll be, we'll draw it probably
Oh, a raffle,
a raffle, yeah, it'll be a raffle.
cause I think the other ones you did like a closed bid.
No, it was a raffle.
They were all
Yeah.
raffles.
But,
I'd like to make a comment, I think where Don can take trash and turn it into gold, we should have him do a lot of other projects like that.
Well, we're still working on the raffle money. We got, what, 300 left or something like that? So we're using it, you know, very sparingly, but it helps us keep from coming in and asking for more
Are
money.
you using these for the cemetery?
Yeah, the cemetery, we have a mapping program that
Yep.
we're activating now, and there's licensing fees on it. So that's the reason why, you know, once again, we do have a budget line for it, but at the same time, this will help us get a larger license. So I'm hoping to raise, you know, roughly $1,000 out of it.
Okay.
I just wanna clarify, all these wonderful raffles that he's doing, if he does not spend the money, it lapses into the general fund at the end of the year, so.
Oh,
He's
even
being,
better.
he's being careful, but he is utilizing money that's over and above what's been allocated for his operating.
Okay, so this raffle probably won't be till after the first of this
Yeah,
year.
we'll probably have the drawing, once in town meeting.
Yeah.
And that, but, if it's all right, I'll have, tickets available and have it set up, like I did before.
Okay,
And,
I don't have any issue, do you?
I, two thumbs up, I salute the
We'll
gentleman.
just give the board consensus then, when we
Okay.
make a motion for it, okay? Thank you.
I said he turns trash to gold, I have no problem with that.
Thanks for coming in, Don.
Oh, I'm not done yet.
You are, you're back there. I see Chris Remeline's in for a follow-up on the 10-year plan on the New Hampshire DOT cul-de-sac circle,
Hello.
roundabout.
Front and center. So everything was submitted to Central New Hampshire, all
Yeah.
the supporting docs. What I was thinking about doing is actually putting up all the information on police department's website. There's a lot of inquiries from the public, mostly on Facebook that I come across, but I wanna be able to give town residents and other concerned individuals a place to find all of the information and data that we've been using for this project. I think it might alleviate the concern that, you know, nothing's being done, or at least the perception nothing's being done.
Right.
Certainly, our hands are tied to an extent with it being state roads, but with that being said, I think residents would like to see that information somewhere, that they can kind of peruse through it and ask questions if necessary.
I think that's good to be out there, especially over a period of time. Nobody can say that we didn't provide the information.
That's right.
We've had that happen on different issues in town, even though it was public meetings and there was stuff provided that people thought that nobody made them aware of it. And the other thing Chris would like to do is, even though this isn't a year this will come about, is maybe at town meeting, we could give just a quick little blurb about it, just so people, you know, one more way of getting it out there that
Absolutely.
they think that, we can let them know about it, you know?
Absolutely. I think I have to confirm with the chief, but we'll probably put something in our portion of the town report as well with a link to, you know, that portion of our website, so.
Can we also do that on the town website?
Absolutely.
Keep it short and then.
Yep. Yeah, you can, I'll just give you the link and link it right to our page. Yeah.
That'd be good.
Just upload everything to there.
Can I make a request too? Last time we discussed this, the Friday and Saturday thereafter, we had accidents down there.
We did.
I put a request in, let's hold off on the accidents.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of comments on that group,
Yes.
Facebook, there were a lot
Yeah.
of sad comments, yeah.
There were, and I felt compelled to respond and let residents know that, you know, we are,
We've been dealing with
trying
this
to address
2
this.
years now, yeah.
And a lot of the suggestions that are being made on Facebook have, I don't wanna say been shot down by the DOT, but were not deemed feasible by the DOT for a variety of reasons. So I just wanna make sure that residents understand that, you know, a lot of the things they're suggesting, we have already looked into, and, you know, at the end of the day, it's a state road, so the state is the entity that has to make these changes, but at least keeping us in the queue for the roundabout will keep us on the regional planning commission's radar moving forward.
And I gotta say, I think a lot of their recommendations were on point, you know?
Absolutely,
You know,
yeah.
there was a lot of recommendations there that probably would not have worked any
Right.
better than it's working now, so.
Right. And I think, you know, the letter that, you know, the town sent following the public hearing that we had in 2018, and then the response letter from the DOT in March of 19, you know, what's nice about the DOT's response letter is it essentially summarizes all of the town's recommendations and explains why or why not they're not feasible.
So you post that information too?
I'm gonna post everything, yeah, in the interest of not only, you know, full transparency, but just providing the information to residents. I think it'll alleviate, again, the perception that the town's not trying to do anything, when in fact we have been, you know, for the last 2 years.
Cause I look back to things like the solar panels that we did there, that grid out on until that was installed. You know, we didn't get a lot of feedback, we had the public comment time for that, we
Yep.
had everything, and people said, whoever agreed to this, you know, they didn't realize it was coming, because they hadn't gone to town meetings,
Right.
they didn't listen at the town meeting, they didn't come to the public events, so. I think you're right, the more it's out there, the better off we'll be when it does actually happen, somebody's gonna say, whoever let this happen in our town, you know?
Well, what I'll do is I'll probably work on that Monday or Tuesday, getting all that information up on our website. I'll send the link to the board, so certainly feel free to forward it to any constituents or concerned residents that have brought that to your attention. Hopefully people will be able to see that and get some questions answered.
I
Okay.
just thought I'd let you know there's a contingent in town who are definitely against a roundabout too.
There sure are, and, you know, I've had conversations with residents about various traffic safety solutions, and at the end of the day, there's no one single solution that everyone's gonna be happy with. My personal opinion is a roundabout, if you wanna reduce dangerous driving behaviors and dangerous accidents, I think a roundabout is probably the safest option.
I'm with you there.
I understand the heartburn some residents have, I get it, but at the end of the day, it's about safety, and I think that's probably the safest option,
Thank you.
so, no problem.
And even though the tractor trailers seem to have some issues in Goffstown, most of those do work pretty good, you know, the traffic does flow most of the time there.
They do, and I don't know if you had a chance to look, but the engineer who did the conceptualized plans in 2018 did a really nice graphic of essentially what it would look like, as well as the frontage, the right-of-way, etc. And it's not nearly as big as I had pictured it in my head, so it actually provides a really nice visual of what it could look like potentially, and that'll be on the website as well.
Okay. It's been a while since I think I've seen that, actually.
It's in the packet that he gave
It
you.
is, okay.
I'll say it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate you coming
Yeah,
in.
no problem. Happy to see you.
Okay. Next thing we have on the agenda, this, is gonna get a little deeper here than we thought. We had a resident that complained on being taxed on the solar panels on his property. And this was the first assessment of our town properties where we actually looked into, taxing people on solar systems. And in doing some research between this town administrator and the previous town administrator, it looks like, back several years ago, the town actually adopted, some things that, allowed for people not to get taxed on solar panels. And in doing so, now it becomes the, assessing office job in town to decide how they're gonna handle, because people have been assessed for them,
Have not been assessed. They've never been assessed for it.
no, they just were.
But this, yes, this
So
rebound.
people have been assessed for them.
Yeah.
And so now they're gonna have to come back and try and get some sort of, they're gonna have to sign up for the proper forms, in other words, not to pay the taxes on that. And there's a process Lean has gone through with me to show me that. It is a process, it isn't something that can just be skipped, I guess, because each time you get an exemption on those, you need to fill out the proper forms for it.
That's correct. Whether it's veterans or elderly, and the requirement on the forms clearly says that they have to fill that form out in order to qualify.
My thought was because it was a townwide vote that they should have never been taxed on them, but there is a process that they get taxed on them, and then they file the form for the exception. And, I didn't realize that was the case, still talking with Lean about it, so now this is gonna kinda go to our assessing board and have them look at it, and we did
Implement the
get some.
process.
Yeah, the New Hampshire Municipal Association,
Actually,
You know-
Department of Revenue.
Department of Revenue gave Lean some guideway to go on that.
So does this mean that they have to file for the abatement every time there's a reval, or every year?
No. So because we've adopted the RSA, the important thing that these folks need to understand, back in '78, when the RSA was adopted, you probably had a handful of people that had solar or some kind of energy saving, that qualified for this. As time has gone on, that number has jumped up to 62 properties that have solar, and the DRA tracks that. They track and wanna know how many veterans we give credits to, they track and wanna know how many elderly exemptions we give. And in the same form, the PA 29 is a section specific to the solar, and they track that, and I actually attached a report that was, that gets posted annually at the Department of Revenue that shows lost revenues, in each community that has adopted that RSA, and there's quite a few, there's probably,
This is the list that she's talking about,
yep,
and this list gives towns that, have already adopted it and what they're, so, in other words, I think the state is also tracking what people are getting exemptions on, and which towns allow that exemption, and so.
alright, so there's a proper procedure, and we just need to get everyone on track to follow that.
My take on it was apparent that the town never really implemented a process
Right.
to do it. And with this new company coming in and do the evaluations, that is part of the evaluation of a property.
Mhm.
And there's a mechanism where they can get the exemption following, and since we adopted RSA, there should be a mechanism where we can, they
Correct,
can get that.
because currently we are not on that list that the Department of Revenue posts on their website.
Hopefully by next year we will be.
We will be, yes.
So the Department of Revenues, excuse me, the Board of Assessors will take this for action.
That's correct, yeah.
Thank you.
I'm working with the assessor that's contracted to do pickups and notices for residents here in town.
And if you could thank Janice for the board as well for helping you through that. I know that looking up some of that old stuff is sometimes very difficult to do. Anything else we need to cover on that, Lean?
If you guys wanna see that list that's posted on the DRA website, I can always forward it to you.
Okay. Okay, now, we'd like to review the actual revenues for the town, to date, and the anticipated taxes, and the overlay amount for 2020.
Okay, the reason why I brought this to your attention today is because we are getting close to finalizing our tax rate. And one of the items that I need to have available and be able to answer for the DRA is whether the board has made any decision on the revenues and the revenues we've collected to date, and if there are any changes that you guys want to make to your projected revenues that we set at our tax rate time, or excuse me, our budget time. So on the spreadsheet that I've given you that shows the breakdown of the current
Revenues.
tax rate, I just wanna go over that tax rate form first, and we can go back to the revenues.
All right.
The 2019 rates are there. We set our tax rate in October of last year, came in at 27.21. Our reval, which just was finalized, came in at 394,363,000, and that is an increase of 78,997 for new property assessment. And what that does is, it reevaluates everybody's properties, and then, that's applied to the operating budget or the breakdown of the 4 parts to the tax rate, and you see a decrease of the tax rate.
So
But
that's 100% of value.
we will be, with these numbers, we're coming in at around between 97 and 98%, so that brought us from 75% in 2019 up to the 90, I think it's 98%. And that was our goal. So going back to the revenues, I printed this off today, and on the back page, I just made a note. If you look at the different categories, hopefully we're close to our mark for what we anticipated for revenues for each of these lines. I think I've explained to you in the past that the categories sometimes are grouped in totals. And on page number 4 at the bottom, it shows the percent left to date as of today is 34.8%. Our current year,
Where are you in the revenues?
yeah, the revenues,
Yeah, right there, right here,
page 4,
back page.
second, yeah, I have a note on the back, it is the left back.
It's a two-page sheet with 2 pages.
One's expenses and it's highlighted
Oh.
expenses, the other one is.
The revenues, right? Okay, I was all the way in the back of the whole package, sorry.
Okay.
Go to 1 page over, the back page, here you go.
So basically, we are currently at 744,312, which is with a almost 35% remaining that we need to collect to meet our budget that we projected at, town meeting. Outstanding in the revenues, which we don't receive until we set the tax rate and/or in December, is the flood control money, which we budgeted at 70,000. The last payment of the highway block grant for this calendar year, 17,483, which is guaranteed by the reports I've received. And the rooms and meals that we budgeted at 135,000, which is an additional 222,183.
And you've heard nothing from the state reducing any of those three?
That's what I need to talk to you about. I have not heard anything. The highway block grant is a given. This is an actual. I don't know where that's going to come in. Again, in prior year, if you look at page 2, for example, those 2 lines, we've always budgeted conservatively. So flood control, we've always budgeted at 70,000. Prior year, we received 73,245, so it came in a little higher.
Yeah,
The rooms-
146 on the rooms and meals.
Correct, but how is that going to affect this year's money? I don't know that answer yet.
I think, Lean, that's 15% as I'm looking at your last page again.
Yep,
And then for 4 months remaining, we have the additional 15 or 18%.
yep.
So I'm thinking we leave it as it is for
Yeah.
now.
I personally think that we are pretty close to on mark.
Because we tend to go conservative on our revenues anyway.
Correct, and then we still have 4 months of vehicle registrations that have to be collected, the remainder of the tax collectors and other revenue throughout the different departments.
Okay,
So if the board has no objection, I think we're on the mark for our revenues. And in the event we do have a shortfall, they would tap into your surplus. And that's, the whole goal is to try not to do that so that you continue to increase your surplus
Right.
and not,
Or maintain it at least.
right. And then
Which we
when you
have
get the tax rate, you can also then at that time decide to use surplus at that time.
okay.
And with that, you'll have the MS 535, which is the auditor's financial report, and that will give you a clearer picture of what we have in surplus. And if you recall, in March, this past March, the board did use $111,000 of that surplus, which was comprised of the additional revenue and the lapsing of unspent expenses. That's what that 111, was based on.
Now I wanted you to go over the overlay amount.
All right, so as I said in the spreadsheet, I was able to get the local school operating budget number that I have on the spreadsheet is less their projected revenues and their SWIFT revenues. The state school is attached to that sheet. They have posted it at the Department of Revenue. Again, that's up a little bit, but that's their portion of the tax rate. Same goes for the county, they're up about 70,000. And then the town is listed as the operating budget, less projected revenues and less the approved surplus. With the pending, in a reval year, we typically have an increase of abatements that would come forward for a number of reasons. Some are valid, some are not. But one of them is related to that solar assessment, which I anticipate we'll see an increase of abatements for that. And that in itself is gonna be around just under $17,000. I'm recommending that the board set 60,000 in the overlay, which is a 15-cent impact, but the auditor strongly recommends that we budget enough in the overlay to cover any abatement that does not impact our surplus. And, for example, I attached the tax rate to your form.
There was 50,000 in the overlay last year.
From
just over
last year?
50,000.
And we abated one residential, abatement, and that was $16,000 for the golf course. And we had actually anticipated the 50,000 be set aside to reimburse the utilities that were appealing, not knowing whether we were gonna be coming to the end and having to refund that money immediately. So, with the one known abatement, 17,000, that really doesn't give you a lot of additional overlay, but I think it's safer in that area than.
Okay, speaking to that, yesterday I was served by Public Service Company of New Hampshire versus the town of Dunbarton.
Okay,
And it's in specific, their complaint that they filed against the town of Dunbarton. It's specific to the, taxes on the property owned in Dunbarton from them. So they're looking at the rate that they were taxed and saying it was unfair, and, they're going through a legal abatement process is what is happening.
that's the standard for them. Their appeal period, filing period is different from residential. Residentials, have to appeal, I wanna say it's April 1st.
So what they were looking at is the, equalization ratio, like Lean said, was about 75%.
Yep.
They showed it 74.8%, where our new evaluations are at just under 100%. They're looking at the years that we taxed them prior to this and saying we would owe them money back. So this may or may not be valid depending on going through the court case, but I think it looks like it could affect it by approximately $179,000. So,
That's a continuation of the abatements that we've been receiving from them for the last 10 years.
yeah,
And it's ongoing, and in order to keep it alive, they have to go through the process, because they were called during some of their public hearings that there were a number of towns that missed a couple of years of abatements, so they went from filing abatements in 13, 14, and 15, didn't file them properly in 16 and 17, so this is
no, I thought that settled that portion of it.
they're still trying, they appealed it, they had 30 days to appeal it, and they're still trying to negotiate. The rate format was approved by the Department of Revenue and by that court, but
This isn't for other property, their evaluation was $7,265,000.
that's all their
All
utilities
utilities.
and the two land parcels that
Okay,
they
it
own.
is
They
both.
always include everything. And I will need that when you're done with that.
So I think keeping it $60,000 is
Prudent.
prudent,
Yeah.
seeing that this is not,
It's not ended.
ended, so.
Because what will happen if we don't, it'll be eating up our surplus. Our
I'm
surplus will
not
be-
sure if Linda gets served, but she was supposed to be served as well.
I wasn't, I was just gonna ask, is that the one that I?
That is the one,
Well, it's
No,
usually-
They haven't served me yet.
Oh.
okay.
Okay,
I didn't see you over there, Linda, I'm sorry.
I
So here,
Distancing.
I'll give this to you, Lean, and leave that in the package.
Mhm.
So, in looking at these, I knew they were coming up tonight, and I just received it yesterday, I said, well, I'll bring it in and we'll review it. Go over the revenues.
okay.
So,
We're good with the 60,000?
I think we are.
Okay. And then again,
Consensus from the board?
I think so, yeah, that's what we had decided earlier on.
and then you also know that part of our surplus is, the lapsing of the operating budget. So it
Yes.
doesn't stop with just the revenues, if there is additional surplus that could, come forward with the,
The cemetery committee, they're gonna have all that extra money, we're gonna take it back from them.
Thank you for that work.
okay, thank you.
The last thing on our main agenda here is our COVID policy. Lean had sent us out an email, although late. She did highlight in that email, the section that the state had put in there in reference to full-time employees and part-time employees, do we wanna modify that, or would you guys like longer to review it? It did just come in
I
an email.
I read
today.
it today, and I don't have a problem with modifying that plan to include them.
What I would like to do then, Lean, if Mike's okay with this, is have you modify it and provide it for us to reread during the next 2 weeks so that we can approve that writing of the modification at our next meeting.
Okay,
Are you guys good with that?
Yeah.
Because you know, the wording sometimes gets tricky on this, so I'd like everybody to look at the wording of it and make sure that we're
good.
crossing our Ts and dotting our Is.
Lean, could you do me one favor?
yeah,
Italicize the changes?
yeah, and I'll put the yellow.
Yeah, just to make it more clear for us.
And I think if, as best as you could, copy any of that state wording that's already, provided to
Yeah.
us. But
And
it's-
that's to basically include the verbiage of part-time, to
Yes.
clarify it, to make it clear, basically.
So we're looking at clarifying the definition, but are you approving the concept?
I think so.
Okay, that's what I want,
Yes.
because I looked at it, and I think that
I think
it
it's
was the
fair, Bob.
appropriate thing
Yeah.
to do.
Agreed.
And knock on wood, we haven't had a high number of cases.
No, but in the event something would happen, at least that we've
It
agreed
helps
to
cover
the
our
concept,
part-timers.
and so that we just haven't agreed yet with
Yeah.
the language.
Alright,
Okay. I've pretty much got mailbox items here to go over next. I'm gonna do this first, though. We have a, pay rate signature that is due, on the certified accountant job that we've hired for.
Financial clerk.
Yep.
she's
Says
already worked,
accounting certified job description. Part-time help in the office. So,
3 signatures.
Yeah.
what's it on 9/17, right? Just that one page, right, to sign?
Yeah.
Oh, we're not doing too bad for all these items on the agenda. Okay. Before I go to mailbox items, is Linda still over there, or is she gone?
Yep, she's still.
here.
Do you have anything else for the board, Linda?
I have nothing else, thank you.
Okay, and Don, did you have anything else?
Quick comment. I just wanted to, give you an update on our mum sale for the garden club.
Oh, yes.
We had beautiful fall weather, needless to say, this last weekend. And we did, almost 5,000 on Friday, 5,000 on Saturday, and we ended up with 13,851, for the 3 days.
Wow.
And we'll be putting roughly 7,000 and change into our treasury for more community events. So it was very successful, and we had people from all the surrounding towns come, and
That's unbelievable.
we ordered 1,900 plants and had 100 unsold, which we were able to send back and get our, refund on. And we had maybe 50 pumpkins left, 40, 50 pumpkins. And once again, we got our money back on those, so.
Well, when you get your money back, how can you hate that?
Yeah, so
That's a win-win.
it was a good deal. We're gonna have our meeting for the garden club this Saturday at 9 AM down at the lower parking lot at the school. Practicing social distancing and everything else, and that project's coming right along, so
Yeah, it looks like it is.
getting it all staked out.
Okay.
And I think that's it.
Thank you, Don.
You're welcome.
Since he brought up the garden project, I just wanna let you know that I did stop by and visit with the neighbor. They did meet with the forester and the school board, and that issue has been rectified, and they are working on that. I think they're gonna do some hand cleanup there from the garden club possibly. They did want a machine back on their property, and, there'd been a little bit of financial money, but not a lot to speak about. So they seemed okay with it. So, going on to mailbox items. Saturday, October 31st is Hazardous Household Waste Day.
That is, Woody was not able to be here tonight, he said that that's the draft date, currently.
And that'll be again on 12 Robinson Road in Bow, New Hampshire. Automotive, they're doing antifreeze gasoline and contaminated oil. They're doing all cleaners, drain, oven, degreasers, metal polishes, rug and upholstery cleaners, disinfectants, ammonia air fresheners, mercury thermometers and thermostats, paints, oil paint, stains, lacquer and other finishes, turpentine, furniture strippers, pesticides and insecticides, insecticides.
We can
for
about
pets.
get a list of that.
Once it's finalized, he will give me the
Post it.
template and I'll post it.
And I understand there's some charges being imposed for some of the items.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, it's not a freebie.
Oh,
Other household chemicals, including toxic glues, chemicals for the pools, driveway sealers. Do not bring latex paint or household alkali batteries, used motor oil. Up here, it's okay for it to be contaminated, but they don't want it to be used, okay. Propane tanks, building materials, air conditioners, computer, printer cartridges, prescription drugs, go in the regular trash, explosives, no radioactive waste, asbestos, or products with medical waste. Okay, that's been read.
That's, it is on the public already, I've seen that, my better half has seen that in the public.
well, Woody is
forums.
part of the Dunbarton Community Group, so he tends to share some information with the community when the questions come up.
So it's out in the public already.
Yeah, it's up on the community page already.
Mhm.
Tammy puts it up there.
Yeah, he just gave that to me today.
The Dunbarton Library right here has moving forward to their phase 3, of their phase reopenings will begin Tuesday, September 22nd. Are we posting that on the website, Lean, or are they?
They
probably have.
posted on their library website, but I can put a link on our website as well.
And here's just a, note for the governing boards, the selectmen, that say that the drought is continuing. And it gives some suggestions and says that 72% of the state is in a severe drought. Which I also saw on Channel 9 tonight. It seemed funny to me that, it's changing very rapidly just with a few days that have been added to it. I'll bring it, back, there's no other public comment tonight. Okay, bringing it back to the board, and I'm gonna start with Lean,
I think I've covered everything.
covered everything? Gentlemen?
I had a citizen concern, he wanted to know if the town clerk would open up evening hours like previously. And I shared this with Linda a little bit, but he works during the day, it makes it very difficult to come in and to get work done requires of the town clerk. And he was just wondering when it's gonna be open for evening hours like before.
Are they still doing appointments, Mike?
I don't know if, Linda, I'm gonna ask you to chime in here.
Linda, are you guys still doing appointments if somebody calls in?
No, they don't need an appointment, they just come in.
Oh,
There's no evening hours at this point.
At this point, there are no evening hours.
and if somebody called in and were looking to, if they had troubles?
I guess it would depend on what they wanted to do. We have great alternatives for people who can't make it in during the day. And Hope and I do go out of our way to accommodate people like that. We find that actually the closure of COVID was a real eye-opener. Like Bob had said, for people with absentee voting, there are alternatives. And I'm so into the visuals. when I do an online registration, there's always a little receipt that I get. These are the receipts for the online registrations for all of 2019. These are the receipts for the online registrations just for the period we were closed to the public. So the person who talked to you,
Didn't talk to me, it was through another citizen.
okay, so there's online. So this is all of 2019, just the COVID closure this year. So there are options, and
Well,
they can,
this, specifically, this was requesting, he's trying to get married. He can't get a marriage certificate or get processed for marriage. Anything is, he just can't make it during the day because of his job. That's probably the extent of it, I heard. Is there what's the mechanism for,
the mechanism would be to
Take some time.
come right to the town clerk, and the town clerk can try to work something out.
but he works during the day, and he used to always enjoy the evening hours.
Did he try and call you? Anybody try and call you from yours?
Nobody has called me. So, you know, and that's like one thing I find with like the community page and the other things. Go to the source, go to the person who can answer your question.
We
And-
emphasize often to leave a message, it's important.
Right, then,
She will return the call, and if they're not
I will
doing
pass
that,
that forward then, okay?
yeah, and I will give you a prime opportunity, an example of how one of our residents is currently vacationing out west. He and his fiance, or whatever, they're out there vacationing. Their vehicle that tows their camper just broke down. They had to replace it. They had to buy a new vehicle in Nevada. They've only got 15-day plates. The Nevada DMV is closed down. They can't get back here soon enough because of the wildfires in California. They need plates and a registration for their vehicle. I have worked with the title bureau and with this couple, and we have that UPS envelope. They overnighted material to me. I got the okay from the title bureau based on these circumstances to get them everything they need to do, and so it's being done. So nighttime is convenient for a lot of people, and I understand that, but it's not necessary. I'd really rather save the nighttime for necessary
Are
stuff.
you gonna be open more than 4 days a week then, to make up 40 hours for the service to the public?
I work more than 40
No, I'm
hours,
talking,
so
I'm not about you
No,
personally, I'm
no,
talking
but-
about for the public.
there's nothing, most things, Mike, can be done in the time I'm open. They wanna renew a registration, they can do it online 24/7, they can put it in the mail 24/7.
What I'm saying is though, here we are, we're expanding the community, and what you've done is cut hours.
I haven't cut
In
it.
the sense that you haven't cut hours at all. I mean, you cut out, Friday's gone, and you've cut out the evening hours. Have you made up those evening hours during the week?
I haven't cut out, Fridays haven't been on the table since
No,
2007.
agreed.
But yes, the evening hours, I'm now open in the mornings.
Okay, so you're working the same amount of hours?
I'm open the same amount of hours I was before.
Okay,
They're
I just wanna be reassured of
rearranged
that.
They're just
Okay.
rearranged differently,
Okay.
that's all.
I'm gonna have this person, I'm gonna relay this message, because I
wish
don't
they
know the
would,
person.
yeah.
To basically email you, would that be most appropriate, or call you?
Absolutely, email, if they called, they gotta leave a message.
Gotcha.
I go to check my messages and I get a hang up, I can't return your call.
No, absolutely, I mean,
You
they
know,
gotta show a little,
you gotta leave me a
you gotta be
message,
proactive here,
right.
okay.
But absolutely, and
Okay.
it's, you know what,
And I'm gonna say 2 thumbs up, and we got a path
I
to
get the
follow.
extenuating circumstances, and I certainly try to accommodate, but I'd really like people to start using for the car stuff and the dog stuff. Try out the online thing, people have tried it for the first time with our COVID closure
Sure,
and loved it.
okay.
They absolutely loved
But
it.
that was the only thing I had, it was a
Right.
marriage certificate,
Right, okay.
marriage license.
I don't really like doing stuff online, but I would definitely call. You know, if you don't make one phone call
Yeah.
to the person that's running the department and
Right.
ask the
But you-
question,
Right.
can I come in later, could you make me a special time?
Yeah.
I think for a marriage license, you'd probably make some sort of arrangement with them.
I've made arrangements for couples who work out of state. I do make
yeah,
arrangements
I've
for
seen
them.
you do that.
And Linda, the only reason that we are targets of opportunity, something goes wrong anywhere in
I
town,
get that.
whether it be the trees coming down to school, which we really don't have jurisdiction over,
Or the voting.
or the voting, we're the front line, and so I'm not judging, I'm just really passing along. Because I'm not gonna, we don't set your hours.
Right, well, and to go to you about that would be like complaining to me about the dump.
Right,
You gotta come to me.
right, exactly. I'm with you,
You
and
know,
I just wanna put this person on
You
the
guys
right
have enough
path.
on your plate.
Okay, I'm moving back to
Well,
Leo, cause
I
Leo.
guess just a comment is Manchester is a big city and everything. Are they open like all hours or?
Oh, no, Manchester.
And everybody
Concord,
seems to
Walls,
make it there.
And everybody makes it,
And
that's
so,
right.
you know, you can
Thank
only
you,
do
Lee.
so much for people. They gotta get out there and do things themselves too.
Yeah,
So there's no
thank you for
evening
that.
hours in Manchester?
No,
No,
I'm not aware of.
no.
Manchester has.
You know
no-
what? If you have to take an hour off from work, that's what you do.
Most town, we're one of the few towns, not few, but
Can only do
Yes.
so much.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good comparison, Leo, cause as you know, when you go to the state, they're not open, you know, to
Nope,
the state's
cut off
not
time of the
open.
state if you have to do a second party of registration
Right.
there.
3:30.
too bad.
You either go or you don't get it, so.
Yeah, exactly. And
Well,
the
that's a
state's
good
still
point, I
not,
guess.
they're still not open to the public, they're still seeing people by
Yeah.
appointment. And through my networking with town clerks, there are many municipal offices that are still not open,
Right.
so,
I mean, we've been lucky, knock on wood,
Yeah.
we keep this office open and operating
Yeah.
during this whole thing so far.
I think people take everything for granted. They just, when they get something, they want a little more.
And I wanna give you a little bit of support here too. I understand that it's been brought to my attention at the voting day, that people like to visit your office and say this to you when it comes to wearing a mask. Well, the thing is, this board has put out that if you don't wear a mask in this building, there's no service. And
Oh, thank you.
we're behind you in the sense that if you run into trouble, we stand with you about the mask wearing.
thank you. I'll tell you, I haven't had anybody refuse me.
Okay,
I've been, and even,
well, Hope is kinda articulated, there was a couple which was
She
giving her a
had-
hard time.
she had a couple that gave her a hard time.
Right, but
And
we're
so-
with you, and the thing is,
Maybe our signage could be a little more clear.
but I think it's pretty clear, but
Yeah.
Clear can
but
you
The-
get?
Rather than the
No
picture,
shirts,
you know?
no
No
shirts,
shirt, no
no
shoes.
shoes,
Yeah.
no mask, no service.
right.
but I just wanna let you know that
Thank you.
we're with you.
But the people have been really, I haven't had any trouble.
I
Because
think
I
it's-
said, would you like a mask? And I'll just give them one.
Good.
That's all.
Okay,
Cause
But
it's
there's
a
always
matter
gonna
of,
be
it's a
one.
matter of their respecting you,
Right.
cause you're wearing a mask to protect them. They should be doing the same
Right.
thing.
I certainly don't like wearing one, I mean,
And you know-
I think we're all in the same boat.
but I don't have to worry if I have food in my teeth, cause, you know, I got the mask on.
But you know, it's evolving, we are
Thank
wearing
you.
the mask more and more and more. And I'm like Mike, I'd say if the person didn't try and reach out and even try and call you, well, if you can't make the effort to make one call into the department,
Yeah.
how can you make a complaint about
You
it?
can go on a social page and complain.
right, and
you
the
can't
social
dial.
page is not where you compare.
Right,
Sad,
exactly.
It is.
So, thank you, and, you know, and even Hope and I have discussed opening nights, you know, because we know that it's a great service to the people in town, but we really can't come up with a good way, this building's just not, it doesn't lend itself well to it. We're looking at a possible spike in the fall, flu season's around the corner.
Yep.
And when, even if you distance people 6 feet apart in that hallway, you're gonna get 3 people, and then they're out the door, and the second person or third person in line's gonna be hanging out at Judy's counter, breathing on her. It's just, you know, it's
Well,
about
there's-
everybody's safety.
There's another thing too, is Mike and I dropped off some stuff after we were done voting. And I was leaving, I went to the men's room and I was leaving, I said, Linda, you're staying here late again. She wanted to do some more paperwork to finish up for the voting, I'm like, I don't even like leaving somebody when you're all alone, you're the one person here, and there's nobody gonna be running out to help you in this town if somebody did come in and do something, I don't really like that.
You're not leaving until I'm ready to leave.
See? But no, it's just, you know, I don't like having somebody here all alone, I don't care if it's a man or a woman or who it is.
Well, the thing is, that's where you secure the doors too.
Well, I know Don Andrews used to chastise me all the time. He'd come by at 11 o'clock at night and I'd still be here working and have the doors unlocked, and he would always give me a hard time. You gotta lock the door, you gotta lock the door. That was back when he was police chief.
But I did see Mark ask over there at the voting, so next year I'm not gonna let you say no to him.
What?
About staying here with you.
I gotta come here to visit her, she's hardly ever home anymore.
Yeah.
Yes, all right, so did you have anything else for me?
No, I just, you reaffirmed what we were thinking.
Thank
And I
you,
just, and you were here, it was great, we could put it to bed tonight.
thank you, and put it out there, you know, the mail and the online stuff, and
Okay.
put it out there.
If somebody asks us now, what are the hours during the week, just so we know?
8 to 4, Monday through Thursday.
8 to 4, okay.
And part of that time, it's, remember, I have to go to the bank after work. That's-
Understood.
That's, you know, it's mandated by the DMV, so
Well,
that's
I
all.
actually thought you guys were still open Thursdays, cause every Thursday you guys are here till
Thank you.
way after we leave, well, not way after we leave, but you're here till past 7, I see you guys
I made
leaving.
it home at 7 o'clock a couple nights ago, and my husband stood at the top of the steps and applauded because I was home before 8.
I didn't realize they weren't open. There's always somebody in there, so I think.
Well,
it
I
was
I
open.
guess, we're targets of opportunity when someone wants to make a complaint. They'll
Thank
hit
you
us in the
for-
transfer station, they'll hit us everywhere they see us.
Yeah, well, thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Okay, Dave, that's all I have.
Oh, now Bob, let's forget about you, Bob.
Oh, that's okay, no, I did, meet with the other person, I don't know if I told you that, over at the library, Brett Hadley,
Oh, yeah.
and he's gonna put together a price, so we have something to go by. I thought I was gonna do it this week, but it might be next week, sometime next week, but I'm gonna go over and dig down to see if there's a footing that's on, or if it's on, or if it's on stone, or what's under, he just wants to have an idea
I
of.
wonder if you can prod down.
Well, I'm gonna bring a bar, but I'm gonna
Yeah,
try
prod
to
down.
dig a little out, you know, cause depending on,
Yeah.
I don't think they've gone down
Cemetery
4
grounds.
feet. To be real honest, they probably went down far enough to have some kind of footing.
They didn't have backhoes back then.
We do have a cemetery prod in the back room if you want it.
Oh, I've got one of those, the loop bars,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's got the little, looks like a chisel
Yep.
on the end,
Yeah.
but it's about 6 feet,
Oh.
so I can use that to go down. I just wanna see,
I thought that was
What's
for
down
splitting ice.
oh,
Here's if you sharpen it.
All right, anything else, Bob?
that's it.
I had forgotten to do the selectmen's report from the planning board under the mailbox item, when I just found it at the bottom of my pile. So, just gonna give you a quick overview. There were a couple approvals last night, and they went fairly smoothly, the people had done a nice job on their applications, and Donna had done the reviews of their applications, and they were fairly complete. And so, there was a 3-lot subdivision up here on the Mills property at the top of Route 13, where the existing house was, and a lot on each side of it. And that got approved after its second meeting. And there was a site plan review on Twist Hill Road for a in-home business, that got pushed off to an indefinite meeting. And
Is there what
then,
type of business?
they're gonna run a couple different types of business out, and they're gonna go on the zoning board.
Okay.
But basically, small businesses, one was electronic and one was, his wife was doing a different business, I can't
That's-
remember.
That's nice.
And, the next one was a subdivision, a lot line adjustment that went through in one clean meeting. That was off of, Barnard Hill and Samuel's Court, where somebody just joined some additional land to their property, and everything was large enough to keep in current use, just a relocation. So those two got approved, and, everything seemed to go very smoothly.
Did you approve the new forms?
We approved the new forms too.
What forms are those?
There was a new, acceptance and adoption of the lot line adjustment application and the revised subdivision application.
So they streamlined for specific to
They
that
did,
project.
and they separated them out, which they never had before, and they
Yeah,
worked
It
beautiful.
makes sense.
Cause the requirements aren't the same for both, so they took all those things off that weren't required on the checklist.
Okay,
Those-
And
those
makes
were-
it easier for
That was
Donna,
one of my projects.
yeah, or Mike's projects.
that's good.
Donna was instrumental through the whole process.
So they were emailed out, and then nobody really reviewed them, so she emailed them again, and then finally,
Good.
we got the thumbs up. I put it for a motion at last meeting, and nobody had reviewed their emails, so we had to wait another.
Volunteers.
But, they did review them, and those got approved. Now they are gonna be working on section 5 and 6 of the zoning ordinance And being the selectman's rep, I'm gonna sit in on those meetings too.
You know that within their budget, they put aside some consultation money, so we need to use that or take advantage of that if that's what
They're
we need
actually
to.
gonna use some of that, it sounds like.
Good, good.
I was approached by,
That's what Matt
the
Monahan.
previous chair to use some of that money, to help that process. They're also gonna look at some processes within their board and how they do their things and get some review on that as well. Part of the board has gone back and forth on how many people review and how many people don't review, and so we're gonna look into that process a little bit. So, that's all I had on my agenda.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Mike makes a motion to adjourn, and it's been seconded, non-debatable, right, Bob?
That's right.